Alright, I just wanted to go over how I made this trailer for my edit page pack, and yeah, there's a lot of planning that went into it, and a lot of time that I sunk into it, installing and procrastinating, stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to go over my process, and hopefully it'll help you guys. I know I saw a lot of people asking for it, and when I was looking back at the comments of that video, I was like, okay, so might as well have an updated one. You guys want to see what I did. This one's not as crazy as the other one, but yeah, maybe I'll also go over the original PeeJ pack as well. Let me know if you want that. All right, I guess we start out with the inspirations. So here I have this big Millinote comp with a bunch of just images that I think work well for Mograph explainers or advertisements, stuff like that. And a lot of it's from Ravi and Brendan. There's also another guy I forgot to remember, and also like some other ads I've done in the past. And so I have kind of split it up in certain categories to kind of give me inspiration. So like, let's start with like the top over here. It's what I call the money shots. So basically this is the final image of either the company that you're advertising or the product or whatever it is. It's kind of always set in this type of tone. And so I was like, okay, that's like the way that we're gonna end it off. So when I saw this, I wanted like a nice visual to go along with the whole branding of the product. And so this is where I would take inspiration from that. Here I have some explainer ideas. Like from Ravi, there was like a really nice explainer on like how to use this certain app or like what this application does to make it successful and like all the tools that it uses. And so having to have some sort of explainer, physical explainer like that, or like just a UI panel or something like this would be nice to add as well. And then we have over here, which is like balancing two subjects. So usually there's like a title or something that describes what the image is next to it. And so this is some ideas about that. Over here, we have single subjects. So just the main subject, we kind of have just like a main panel or visual while there's like other background details and stuff like that. Now we have over here, we have single symmetrical compositions, which is similar to this one, but a lot of them are like radial compositions or like these nice depth into them. So I kind of put them over here. And then that's the last of it. And so these are just some of my inspirations I take when trying to make some of the compositions for my scenes. I think I need to go over to the edit page pack script. So I wrote out the script for like thinking, okay, what's the pain point of the problem people are trying to solve? And so just the edits are taking forever, trying to go between pages and pages. I'm just thinking about those pain points that people would think about when if they would want this product or not. So I put the script here, I read it over, I'm like, it's okay, it has the things I wanted to add, but it's a little long or it doesn't really flow very right. So going through ChatGPT and back and seeing if there's better ways to name it all, I ended up with this, which is a nice short script. Struggling to finish your edits because they're taking forever? Introducing PeeJ's edit page pack, the key to faster editing. This pack gives you all your favorite nodes accessible straight from the edit page. Just apply your effects from the effects library or your power bin and easily change the settings through the inspector. No more pages, no more keyframes, no more wasted time. Edit page pack. Get it now at PeeJent.com. So yeah, that was it. I wish I said that ad way smoother in the ad, but oh my god, I was probably so nervous trying to get this thing doing, but pressure's off. I don't need to do it no more. I just say it really easily. All right, so yeah, that is the script for it. And then I took this script and I put it into Illustrator, where I have put it a bunch above these panels so I can try and make some visuals for it. I only got like a couple of them, which I'm going to show you right over here. But yeah, some of it, like some of the ideas I had scrapped or some of the ideas I just made inside of DaVinci itself. So yeah, so I first one had the edit page because I wanted to show the actual pain point, and then had the idea of like having them shake. So you're going to see that later how I did that. But yeah, having this nice little replication of the edit page inside of Resolve, that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. And then I had my money shot as well. So the nice branding, the edit page pack, and then visuals that kind of remind you of fast motion. So like a bunch of arrows and kind of like this gradient that looks like it's a trail, as well as I added the edit page logo, if you see at the bottom of here, the edit page logo in my own way as a nice visual at the bottom left. And yeah, then I also have some taglines and some other text, just add some more texture into that as well. Over here, this is supposed to be all your favorite nodes straight to the edit page. I wanted to take all these nodes and like put it into this bucket, but I'm like, bucket kind of doesn't really make sense. And it's like an edit page, so I might as well just make it a book. And so that's what I did inside of DaVinci instead of Illustrator. But yeah, those are like some of my details that I wanted to illustrate out. And so now I kind of have like a visual cohesive language of how this is going to look and what I wanted more for the visuals. And yeah, so I guess we can go to the DaVinci Resolve project. So let's play it out. We have our shake at the beginning, we have our edit page, and we see the slide go in, and then it kind of cuts out to the main graphic. Then we have what we talk about, the edit page, the pages, going over to how the visual actually works with our recorded footage, and going over with some symbols with animation about what I was saying, and then back to the money shot, a little bit different with our little bit of animation. All right, so let's go into the first Fusion comp, and here you can see it's a bit complicated. So I took what I had from Illustrator, and you can't really put whatever you have in Illustrator into into DaVinci, you need to do some complicated process, which I had to figure out as well. A nice workflow for this. So basically, I took one of these panels and I put it into Photoshop, and also make sure like things were grouped right. There was no like empty paths. Everything was like a solid shape. Basically, put this into Photoshop, and then I used Taquito's script, which is for PSD importing. Exported to PSD with all the different shapes on different layers, and then use this video in order to import it correctly. Because even if you have a PSD file and you import into DaVinci, it messes up. If you go in that video, it shows you how it messes up and why I made this video in order to export it correctly into the Resolve. But once it exports, you get all your visuals here, which are basically everything that was inside of my Illustrator file, minus certain parts I took out in order to do animation. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Taquito's script, I have a bunch of videos on that, videos on how to do that and how to make your workflow pretty much faster. Because as well as when it imports in, it doesn't come with all these transforms. So with Taquito script, there's a tool allowing you to highlight all these media ins and say, I want to insert a tool after all of these different nodes. And I showed off and to do it in this video. So yeah, that is very nice to do. And then I have certain parts that have certain animation and a bob and a shake. So let's see. Let's take one of these. Perfect. So we have a layer, go like this. And then I have this shake node, camera shake node. We have motion keyframed at 0. And then once it activates, I have it keyframed up where it goes shakes like that. And it goes back to normal. And let's look at the graph for this. You have a graph going up and then shake back down. Then you have all these other camera settings or camera shake settings I have over here. And then I copy pasted it and adjust maybe some settings over here in order to give us this nice little shake. And I think I have another one. Yeah, there's this little layer just jumping out of the whole screen as well. And then sometimes we have transform nodes. Let me see if I can find one of these. Yeah, that have a pivot point on a certain part of the image where it just goes down in keyframes with the angle and then having it go back and forth. I just use some keyframes in order to do that. It was that type of animation like this. And yeah, all right, we can go over here. I have it, I believe I have it fade into just a solid color, which is this gray over here, while we have the playhead come over here. So all the playhead has the same animation that everything else has, and then it turns into this. So I took the playhead, used some transforms in order to move it around like this. And I also have the same thing happening over here, but with the playhead rendered out bigger. And so we have it just match cutting between these, I believe over here. So it match cuts with this line in order to make a nice bigger playhead. So when it goes to the next scene, it's not very blurry, it's better quality. And then the camera shake over here, merge that on top of everything. We have this, and then that takes us into our next animation. I believe we just have other transform nodes like transitioning the visuals into the composition like that. And that's the first comp. This goes to the next one, which is kind of a nice match cut between the movement of this playhead and the everything else. I could have did it seamlessly, but I was just thinking a nice match cut movement is all we need for that. And here we have the same thing I imported everything in with using that Photoshop method and then attach it to the path. We have everything here, and then I have some sort of animations for a couple of these visuals. I think like there's like certain arrows that come in as well a little bit later, or is it? See, let's get a background. Yeah, so we have this line come in as well as being masked out, as well as these little arrows that are coming in. That's why all these are separated out in different ways. Some have different animations, some are even disabled, and I use just a duplicate for this animation over here. And then we have our playhead over here, and this one's pretty simple. I just have a switch fuse, which is basically a fuse node that's from Reactor that allows you to switch directly between scenes really quickly, just a keyframe between different inputs. So this is input 1, this is input 2, and wherever it's keyframed, let's say over here, it's just going to switch in between those. So right here I have it zoomed in, and right here it's going to be normal, so just switch between those two scenes and it gives us our nice effect. And then we have our transition out at the end, which is our nice fade into the next scene, which is our nodes. So basically the same thing, except with our nodes. I think I actually just exported these from Illustrator instead, all these just individual nodes like this that I made. And then I have this crazy comp that I'll go over. Over here is the book, and over here is all the visuals. So each one of these nodes is going into a transform node that are moving all these nodes and animating them in the way that they need to be when they're falling down, as well as this opacity mask that I have in my free PeeJ pack that allows you to pretty much normalize a scene. You can do this with a crop, but I like doing it with this because it gives us some more controls if we need it, as well as it gives us the option to click this button, which I'm not going to click right now, which either switches between the actual resolution and the composition resolution that everything is default in. But all those are going into 3D planes. 3D plane here into a transform node, which also animates the Z depth of this, and it's all, ignore all these group of nodes in the middle, it's all going into this merge over here. You can see the animation, things going back in space while the camera is also moving backwards. This is a nice motion. And we have this over here, our final result. And then this is going to go down into the book that I have masked out in this crazy way. that I want to show you. So let's do the book first. So I am crazy and I physically made a book inside of DaVinci using multiple image planes. I got an image plane here. I used a bender effect in order to make one part of a page. Then I have the page moving with the transform. I just named it page so we know which one it is. Then I duplicated this across, so we have two pages that are mirrored exactly in 3D space, and then I duplicated it multiple times to have multiple pages. Here I got the same thing where I got the texture for the outline of the book. This is going into a cube actually, so it has some thickness into it and it's 3D space. Then we have the shape that bends, or actually tapers this. I use a bender to taper the book so it gets thinner towards the outside and thicker towards the middle. And I got a transform node also moving this and having the book open with a rotation on the X, transform it down in order to have it centered correctly. And then we have another bender in order to make it look like the book is also bending. And then I duplicate this twice and turn this around so we have something like this. And then now I need a spine for the book over here, and that's where I just add another cube and merge this all together here. And now we have our nice book animation like this. I added another transform in order to normalize it. Then I added a bender in order to bend the book even more so it feels like everything is more cohesive together. And then I had some lights that are added here. I would not suggest using this lighting. I don't know what I was doing exactly. Ambient light and some point lights in order to add some reflections into the book, and then render this out, and we have some nice different lighting on the book over here. Then I took this visual and I used a soft glow to get nice glowing pages. Just made sure it was only the white that's being glowed, and put that over here, and we merge this on the backside of our nodes that are coming down. Over here, I used the pages, and I keyed out the pages, so it's only the pages being shown in the render. And then I used a directional blur and used it as a bitmap, directional blur to blur this down. I bitmapped it so clamp all the values and put it into a background, so we could use this and merge it into a background, have it masked out by the pages again, and then have this blurred out so it's kind of with the glow as well, and merge this together to make this luma matte in order to mask out our nodes from being shown when they are inside the book or under the book. So you see how they're being masked out because they're supposedly inside the book and using the book in order to drive the mask in order to make them go away, just like that. And then we have this zoomed in with some other blends and size and positions with our merge node like that. And this goes into our next scene. This goes into here. We have our animation here, and then I took one and I put it in the background, blurred it, sized it up a lot, and then had this main one in the front, so it gives us a nice texture in the background, so there's nothing just plain there. I could do like a pattern or anything like that, but I really wanted the visual to be on the book itself. And next we have it transitioning to the next scene with a nice flash to our actual visual on how to use the product. Let me just play it back over here. We have the effects going onto the clips like this, and then in the inspector we have the visual being shown of the controls that are in inspector for the edit page pack. And let's take a look at this comp. All right, this one's a little messy, but trust me, it's gonna work. This is our footage here. This goes into our transform node and into our DVE, which puts it in the nice 3D perspective kind of space, and having this outline onto it. I sharpened the footage a little bit because it's a little bit blurry, and then I merged this on top of a shadow with a soft glow and two glows just to make it a little bit brighter. And then I have this also being put into the background, so we have again that nice texture that we were talking about before, this being merged onto our other media that will be shown and out just like this. All right, here I have a nice Mograph stinger transition where I have my footage here, and then it comes up with the next scene that's over here. It was a little bit complicated on how to do this, but the effect itself is pretty easy. The cross dissolve effect. Basically, in a stinger transition, we have extra frames on the last half of the first scene and then extra frames on the first half of the second scene, so we can put this together inside the space and animate some nice stinger transitions. We have one part going above the other part, and then we have this animation like this where we start our next visual in this fusion composition right here. So let's start over here with the text. So I have my main text over here, and then we have this other text with multiple different phrases I have over here being moved up and masked out by this rectangle, so it only appears inside this rectangle, merged over here. So this rectangle is masking only this part of the text, and it's moving every time there is a new scene that's going to pop up behind it. And then took this, put into a background node so it's all black, and then merge this on top of our other things that we're going to show. This is where I put more symbols and visuals to make it animated in order to people get the point, especially with this part of the script where I have a repetitive sequence. People kind of get into a rhythm of looking at that visual. At first, let's go with the top, and here I have the clock I have over here, and I only had one part of the clock there, so I had to mask out another part of this clock in order to use this pointer in the middle. So I took a Mac control, I separated the pointer from the actual circle, Then I duplicated the pointer, I put it into different transform nodes, and then I merged one back on top, and then I merged the other one back on top over here, with this one moving with the angle animation. And we just have this easy timer visual like this. And I row dilated it to make it a little bit bigger. This you can ignore, and this is just merging on top of our background of our little plate. So this is our plate that's everything is going to be on top of and also being masked out by. On another visual, this is the keyframe animation. Here I just have a block, because if we look at over here, it's just a block over here, just turned 45 degrees in order to make it a keyframe. And here I just have all of it animating in, and I kind of manually keyframed things in order to make it look like it was falling and bouncing on top of each other, just like this. So this here as well. If we put it all together, you can see the animation. One drops, hits, bounces, hits the other one, pops it. That one hits that one, and it goes the other way. And then just a nice animation like that. And this is being put on top of the visual and also being masked out because the keyframes exist beforehand, but now they only exist inside the big box like that. Last one is the Fusion icon. Took it in Illustrator, made it my own, and I don't know why it was like transparent at the time, so I just put it into a background node, which allows us to clip the value in order to make everything transparent. As you can see, the alpha is all 1. And now I use this method, which I did above with a clock. I call this like a matte sandwich, not my original naming, but this allows us to take a matte control, take a mask, and isolate a certain part that we want. Say the wand, and then on this other matte control, it's inverted this matte and allowing us to keep whatever is there, and then we just do whatever we want. With this one, I animated the wand to make it look like it's moving, and then have the stars row dilate, animate like that. And so now it has like a little animation to emphasize it's being called out. And then we have this all merged into this multi-merge, which is all merged into this multi-merge. So here, we take a look, all this transforms all the way at the top. This one is in the middle, and this one is at the bottom. And with this transform over here, it scrolls between all of these animations. So it starts at the top, then it moves, goes to the next one, moves, goes to the next one, just like that. And I just skewed it with the DVE in order to make it look like it's moving in 3D space, just like that. So you can only do this with these transform nodes and merges and multi-merges, because those allow you to extend stuff all the way out in space and have it still be rendered out when it animates back in. It is a non-destructive workflow in that way. Next, this is merged back on top of our white background, and then merged behind our wasted time, and then this is going to be dissolved into white, which is why I have the background there as well as our animation having a nice little zoom out. And this goes to our final scene, which is the edit page pack. I did the same thing again, where I actually grabbed, so here I grabbed whatever the main logo was from that original first scene that I had from the money shot, and I took these letters and I animated them, so each one has its own very unique animation, and some of them have this stretched animation, which I did using it's called vector snapshot from Reactor. That script allows you to have certain visuals inside your viewer, and it turns it into a vector image you can import, and it has all these little masks that you can edit as well, and I show you how to do it in this video right here. And so that's how I did this stretchy animation. I take one of these masks, see it's like 2 different visuals. I have the mask moving up, and then I have the second part of it moving down with these points over here, and then I just did the same thing with the path over here like that. I have this, I have this one as well, which is the E, which is the long part of the E just getting stretched and put together, and then I merge this all back on top. And then I use this other node from Reactor called Echo. It gives us this nice echo animation. It duplicates certain parts of the image, so it makes it look like there's a trail on whatever image is there. It works very well for Mograph. A lot of people use this, and so I use it here. And then I have pack animation done with each individual letter like this, and I believe I used Taquito script in order to skew a transform animation onto all the rest of these, so it has a nice follower animation like that instead of actually using a text node. And then lastly, we have the playhead, which also moves in from the left side like that. Each animation is different. This one's like an X size animation from really small to normal. The ones are just slides in. And here I have my tag, which is just my letters. I have my text coming with a tracker animation, tracker tracking down, and then I kind of expand this, and then I have same animation as on this text node, except I isolated out the ENT, so as the tracker animation, but I also put a follower effect onto it, so it has it move up and down just like that. So yeah, 2 different methodologies for doing that animation. Don't know how to use follower, use this tutorial. And yeah, this one's being masked out by this nice swipe in with that mask. We take a look, you can barely see it, but yeah, that's what it does. And yeah, that is the end.